Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I also kind of heard a lot of the other speakers talk about cybersecurity the entire day. So I'm going to change a little bit about my pitch, right? And what I'm trying to share with you. So today we're talking a bit about multifaceted defense. I come from the company and I represent the company now called Tehtris. So maybe before we do that, right? Has anybody in the room not heard about Tehtris the game or not played the Tehtris the game, right? I'm sure everyone here has heard of Tehtris the game or has played Tehtris the game before. So let me put you through to why many of us, in the first place came into cyber defense, or first, as a child, you fall in love with IT. How do you get about doing that, right? Many of us, I would say, or in my experience, many of my friends in this same circle started off by playing games, right? Many of us played games. Many of us started to think about, how do I play mobile games? How do I play computer games? How do I play games that interact with my friends? And then I start learning about networking. And then I move from there, right? So that's kind of like how everybody kind of got interested in IT, I would expect, right? Many of us will do that. So today here I have a slide that shows a castle, right? Talking about multifaceted defense. So even in the castle defense, you need to build many areas of defense, many types of defense to protect your castle, right? And your castle, you contain maybe things like treasure, your jewels, but you create many areas of protection, many layers of protection, right? And then why do you do all these multi-layers of protection? Is because you are also looking at protecting against multi-types of attacks, right? So here on the picture, you can see that there's a stealthy assassin coming in, maybe trying to steal something, right? Or maybe trying to assassinate the royal family. Or it could be a straight up whole siege, right? That the army comes over to your castle, blockade you, right? And try to attack your castle. But again, different types of attacks, therefore different types of defense, right? And the next thing to look at for games that you guys might have played before, right? What's the key thing when you are playing a game? You want to be able to manage everything within your game interface, within your GUI of your game, such that you're able to control multi-things that happens very quickly, right? If you played real-time strategy games, for example, you're building your castle, you're building a defense, you're building your walls, and you try to be as fast as you can. And if you get frustrated with the dashboard, you get frustrated with your GUI interface, and you cannot find, I need to click a protecting arrow tower here, but I can't find it. And that kind of makes you very frustrated, right? So that's actually what's happening today, right? And we think about the games and we think about the defenses and things that we did and how we want to protect something. And we look at the challenges that we have today, right? It's very similar, right? You have so many attack surface, so many different components that you need to do. Therefore, you build multi-layers of defenses for different attack surfaces, different attack types, right? And then sometimes you get really tired because there's just so many things happening at the same time. So think about it as a GUI. So Tehtris has a platform. Think about it more like a GUI, like a game GUI, right? Your game interface. If your game interface allows you in your real-time gaming to build the things that you need to build, the commands that you need to issue in a very easy-to-use interface, one area, right? Of course, in cyber, we talk about single pane of glass, right? So what if everything is easy within reach? Therefore, you will get a much better gaming experience. You much better experience in being able to mitigate the attacks and protect the attacks. So that's something that Tehtris is trying to do, right? So we came up with a platform that we have all the things pieced together. Now, we are a French company. We come from France. And our founders actually also has a very interesting gaming concept. So from day one, when we started our business, right, we built different modules, and each module has a product owner, right? And each product owner, even within Tehtris, we call them Jedi. So each Jedi, right, will actually then have the different pieces of our platform, and they are in charge of different pieces of our platform. And when you look at a platform and you look at the defenses, yes, we may not have everything out in the sun, right? Because cybersecurity is really so wide. But we get many pieces that we have that help you to provide the defenses that you need. And in the pieces that we have, we try to be as complete as possible in those pieces. So what do we have here in this picture, right? We talk about defenses. So I actually thought about, wow, I want to think about some of the military stuff that happened before. And in this picture, we actually see people listening in. What are they listening into? They're listening into conversation, communication, or in army and defense terms, you call them signals department, right? So you're listening into them, you're listening into the conversation, understanding what's happening. And that's very similar to a network traffic analyzer, a network intrusion detection solution, right? So that's actually something that can happen, and there are many use cases for this. Why do we listen into conversations? Because we want to know what's happening in the network. Why do we listen into conversations and what conversations of the enemy is trying to do? Therefore, we can understand what our attackers are trying to do as well. So that's something that we have in place also. The next thing that we have is, look at this thing that happened just recently this year, right? So in Ukraine, right, they use dummy models of military targets. Literally, they built fake aircrafts. And because from a very high level point of view, the attacks come in, the bombs come in, right? And they're wasting military ammunition onto these fake targets, right? But what's important is they are also learning. Where did they come from? What kind of equipment do they have? What kind of attacks do they have? What kind of ordnance in terms of the bombs do they have, right? And we call this just like honeypots, right? So we are building fake servers, fake devices, fake machines for the attackers to come in, hit this, we understand what they are doing, and we collect that information and use it internally, right? So that's basically what we can do. And this is also very common if you have anything that's too messy. It's very hard for you to organize, hard for you to filter and fit all these things together, right? So we have an SIEM that we built into our platform that collects all these different logs, different things together and piece it together so it's easy for you to go through the information. And when you think about putting things together, like I mentioned, completeness is very important. So if you do a QC check, like this lady here, doing a QC check in a cookie factory, you don't want to miss out certain things that's happening, or it's like, oh, why is this cookie overly burned? And we want to, have a QA and remove this cookie, right? So we want to be able to check everything, and completeness is very important. So for us, what we do is that we build this. When we talk about our endpoint detection, right, we complete it by saying that we do all operating system, from your base operating system or Windows to Mac to Linux, but also your iOS or Android. So it's important to kind of complete all these defenses, right? And then what if we are able to have an AI built in to help you going through all these data? Right? You have so many data go on all the time, right? We try to put everything in together, learn, and help you defend it. So in a nutshell, I want to say is that the multifaceted defense allows us to protect us from many different layers, many different types of attacks. And if we can have that in one GUI interface, it helps us a lot in how we can build our strategies into mitigating these attacks. All right, with that, I would say merci, which is French for thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate your time. Have a good rest of the day. Cheers.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Ivan Law, for that.